Hi guys, and welcome to Alistair Davies Golf. Today I'm joined by Mark McGee-Can, who is the UK golf distributor for Golf in Sync, and we're going to be doing a little review of the new training product called Golf in Sync. It can be used for many things, and we're going to talk through them with Mark now and demonstrate a few bits that it can be used for. Mark is also a PGA professional, so he uses this himself with his clients on the golf range and when he's coaching. But he's brought it here for me today to have a look at, to see if I'm going to have a use for it with my client and see if I'm going to be interested in using it. This is not a paid endorsement by any stretch of the imagination. We're simply going to do a quick review, and I'll give you my honest feedback whether this product is good or not, which is going to help certain things in the golf swing, certain things in your short game, and whether it's worth you pursuing to buy. Okay, Mark, so this take your setup with a club, and as we're going through some things, let's just discuss and talk things that it can do, really. So how it's set up to the club, it's kind of attached kind of 3/4 way down the club. Does it matter where it's attached as such, or has it got to be specifically there?
Absolutely. We've got a key reference point here. So where the Velcro strips are, the reference point is just at the bottom of the grip there.
Okay.
And therefore gives the key measurement for the clamp to attach to the club.
Okay, and it's pretty easy to attach and everything, isn't it? Just really clamps on really easy.
Clamps on, just using a fly nut screw, and then just tighten it up.
Okay.
Just be careful not over to tighten it. We don't want the plastic casing cracking.
Okay, and then obviously the plastic rod, if you like, sits up kind of parallel to the shaft.
Made out of fiberglass, very nice and light. Made
out of fiberglass, and it's round then an arm strap, and it goes through a little slot here in the arm strap, which I'll show you an image of, guys, so you can see on a separate bit of clip. And it sits up parallel. So just take your address again there, Mark. So at address, it kind of sits, if you look at it, just slightly forward of the shaft, and it sits against your arm. So for me, having had a quick play of it previously, I like it quite a lot for the takeaway. So just work the club back to takeaway, Mark. And it's pretty hard to get the club going inside, which is one of the big killer moves in the golf swing. If you get the club inside, visually you can see it straight away, and you actually feel it against your arm, don't you, Mark? You feel it digging into your arm. So I particularly like this device for the takeaway. So the idea is obviously to keep this kind of in front of the shaft in your takeaway, and it'll keep it in front of your hands also. So give us this nice look to the takeaway as we swing back. Then if you go to the top of the swing, Mark, if you work it up to the top, what you also get then is the visual of this pointing down towards the golf ball. Now, if we wanted to make Mark's plane flatter, it'd point above the golf ball. So again, it'll give us a visual reference to where it is. And if you try to get it majorly upright, you can see it sort of digs into Mark's body. So it'll help guide you from a visual perspective and a kinesthetic feel to where the shaft is in space and time. The kind of next thing it also does, which I quite like, it allows you to maintain your radius of your swing quite well. So for those guys that tend to bend their arms and collapse their arms in the backswing, this makes it pretty much impossible to do. And obviously the way Mark's got it worked up there, it does still encourage good wrist cock. So it allows us to load the shaft properly in the right direction with this visual trick. I think the only reservation I have with it is to look at how much it would change someone's swing after using it for a period of time, and how the natural swings would move. But that'd be the same with any training aid. You know, training aids are good at making you change how you move with the training aid on, but then it's how you move without it on afterwards. So a lot of that comes down to how you practice, which I'll talk about in a second. Do you want to go ahead and just hit a small shot there, Mark? Just so the guys can see how that works. So we're just using a pitch shot there. Again, with the stick as it is, it helps create that width all the way through the hitting zone and the radius of the swing. You can't really do a full follow through with it. If you do, the stick tends to impede you a little bit, doesn't it? That's about as far through as you could get, isn't it, Mark, there?
It is, and I mean, it's great for hitting that nice punch shot. And it does give you the feeling of, you know, being very solid throughout impact.
Yeah.
Anything really breaking down there.
When I hit a couple just now, what it made me feel like it made me feel like I had to rotate a lot more to get there. So it encouraged body rotation, it encourages that connection.
Certainly something else you know from previous lessons, Alistair, something I need in my swing.
You definitely need a bit more connection in your golf swing, so it'll be interesting to see what you look like without this on. But yeah, I think the key benefits from a full swing perspective is it'll give you visual representation of where the club is in space and time. It'll maintain width throughout the whole of your golf swing with you and encourage you to rotate your body. So from a full swing point of view, I quite like it. I think from a takeaway perspective and a radius point of view, I think it gives you some great feels and great perspective. So I'll be using this in my academy from now on. It'll be something I'll be selling and using for people who struggle with that takeaway and want something as an aid to use to encourage the right takeaway and feels. I think it'll work well for that. what we're going to go on to now, Mark, I think is we're going to test it with a short game, aren't we? And see how it works with a short game.
Absolutely.
So we'll maybe take it into the bunker, do a few bunker shots, and maybe have a look at it with the putter as well, just to see how it works. Because there's a slight different way we use it for those shots, isn't it? Well, certainly for the putting and chipping. Excellent. For a bunker play, you'd use it pretty similar, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So keep watching to watch the bunker play. Okay, Mark. So let's hit a couple of bunker shots to see how it works in the bunker with the golf in sync. Okay. Let me watch another one. I've got some reservations based on that one shot there, Mark. But let me watch, and I'll explain to the audience why I like it and don't like it. Okay. So if you take your setup there, Mark, and I'll try and talk through people why I like and what I don't like about this. So in terms of in a bunker play shot for a good player, I'd want to see them use the bounce and overtake like this a bit more. And I think with this in-sync product on, it makes it quite difficult to get the overtaking right because of this one sticking to your body. So I think for the kind of person who can't get the ball out of the bunker and just wants to have a very basic, stiff bunker shot play, I think it'll encourage that. So for the kind of guy that really struggles with contact and just wants this kind of, I call it like a Steve Stricker pitch out of the bunker, face slightly open, I think it would encourage that. And it'll take a lot of the unwanted overuse of wrist action out of the shot. But in terms of good player bunker development, where I'd want to see the bounce working and the overtaking happening through impact, I think this limits that. So I think for the guys who really struggle, it'll help them. And for the good players, I'd say this wouldn't be a product I'd want them to use for the bunker play. Okay. I think for the chipping, anything that's stiff-armed and radius, and for the full swing taking the wrists out of it, I think it works well. I think for the bunker play, I'd have it for the novice golfer possibly, but that's it.
Okay.
Okay,
no,
just because I want that overtaking. Same as lob shots. I wouldn't see it for lob shots. Constant radius and constant strike, it'd work quite well. But adding more dynamic loft and using the bounce more, I think. Something
I personally feel when practicing here is it really does encourage, however, though, to get the heel leading the toe, which I think is a good thing, as you said, for those beginner golfers looking for those key fundamentals.
Yeah, I can certainly see how it would do that a little bit, and how it encouraged that radius of the swing, so constant contact on the ground, which I like.
Sure.
But I just want the good players, I'd want them to have that overtaking and squaring up with that bounce, to use the bounce of the club correctly. I think it's pretty hard with that, even how making a swing myself with it earlier, how we can get that overtaking action with it. I think it's got loads of good properties, but a good player bunker action wouldn't be one I would look at. Okay, but the rest I like. Okay, Mark, so we're going to test it out with a little pitch shot now. And I'm quite excited about this. I think this will work quite well for the Steve Stricker pitch shot. I think it'll work well for that one. Again, the bounce side have my reservations the same as the bunker, but I think for the what I'd call a chip pitch or a thumbs down pitch, I think it'll work nicely.
Okay. This is where I feel it really comes into its own with distance control. Okay. And like we previously spoke about, the quality of strike and therefore potentially increasing the spin.
Okay. Let's watch you hit a couple. Okay, nice strike. And let's watch one from just over here. Let's have a look at your arm radius and stuff. Yeah, nice. So what I like about it, Mark, is the kind of sternum and hand working in nice in tandem. You get a nice relationship to the width and the radius of the swing, which I like to see in pitch shots, particularly from this kind of lie where we don't need to work the ball majorly high. We just want it to land and check a little bit, or even land and release. I think it gives you that radius relationship quite quickly, and it gets you the feeling of using your body more rather than using your hands, which I think is key with a lot of golfers. They tend to use the hands way too much. So I think it helps that. I think from a distance control point of view, I think you can see the visuals. Like I use body parts in my pitch, okay? So I like my guys to go kind of waist to waist or whatever. I think you can visually see it quite easily. So I think it would help dial in your distance control too. So for me, it's a kind of thumbs up for this kind of chip pitch shot, chip and run shot. The putting, we're yet to see, we'll have a quick look at that. But the putting, we'll have a little look at and see what that's like. The bunker play, we've already talked about that. And for the full swing, I like it. So, as I said, it's going to go into my academy locker for sure.
Fantastic, I'm excited. I think the other key thing is it helps keep the loft constant throughout. Again, not too much hand manipulation, rotation of the club face.
Yep. I can see that. Okay, so we're on the putting green now, and we're going to look at how this works with a putter. So I'm interested to see how it looks. Let me see a few putts. Let's just have a look. So we've got it strapped in. This time it's attached here, so it's a different attachment. Okay, so whereas I kind of had the reservations with the bunker not being able to overtake, this allows you, looking at it, to overtake, you know, a nice little amount. We don't want a huge amount of overtaking, but if we just hold it there, Mark, you can see that this is starting to point back to your body.
Definitely.
So it allows you to feel kind of what I call a lock and rock move, but at the same time allowing you to release the club head, the small amount needed in the putter. So that's certainly useful, I think. If you take your setup again there, Mark, for me, certainly useful if you wanted someone just to lock and rock, so just rock back and forth for me. And it's starting to give you the function of the shoulders moving, which I like, and it's keeping these hands nice and passive. So for me, from a putting device, I quite like it. Yeah, I think that will work. That will suit a lot of players. It will help them reduce the hand action and increase their shoulders to rock, which I think is important and key. So let's summarise. Okay, so for me, as a coach, I like it for full swing, even though you wouldn't hit full 6 irons with it, you'd hit like 8 iron, slight knockdown follow throughs. But I like it from a backswing, from a directional point of view, of discovering plane and learning takeaway. I think it helps those things, helping width, radius you swing, whichever way you just want to describe it. I think from a chipping point of view and from a pitching point of view, for the stiff pitch shots, not the lob shots, for the stiff pitch shots, constant contact, constant radius, I think it works well. Yep. I think from the putting, it works well, particularly for short putts. I think from your inside 15 foot on quick greens, it'll work nicely. Your longer putts, you might have to again have a longer arc, so then you might want to have a little bit more wrist action. So maybe then you might need to practice the technique from that kind of fast green concept from inside 15, 20 foot. The bunker play, I didn't like it from a good player perspective, but I don't mind it from a beginner's perspective. So these are going to be in my academy from now on, Golf in Sync. Check out the website, golfinsync.co.uk. Is that right?
Golfinsync.com.
Golfinsync.com. I'll put the link down below what it is. But also they'll be available to purchase from me as well through my website, alistairdavies.co.uk. And again, you'll see the links down below. And if you're at my academy for a lesson or you want to try one, by all means, just knock on the door and I'll let you try one. But hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks, Mark, for coming.
No, thank you.
If you have enjoyed the video, please click like down below. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Plenty of content coming every single week. And post any comments you have in the box down below, especially of any future videos you want me to cover. Thanks for watching.